There is a kind of pain that leaves no mark. You can feel it in an empty apartment at 9 in the evening, in a room where the meal you cooked has gone cold, in the half-second after you check your phone and there is nothing there. It isn't sadness exactly. It sits lower, heavier, in the chest, in the stomach, in the shoulders. People describe it with physical words without even noticing. It aches. It hurts. I feel hollow. And here is the strange part. Nothing has happened to your body. No cut, no bruise, no injury anywhere. So why does it hurt? Tonight you're going to find out, and the answer is not poetic. It is literal, measurable, and it was proven in a laboratory. Because when you are lonely, your brain does something that sounds impossible. It processes that feeling using the exact machinery it uses for physical injury. Loneliness doesn't feel like pain by accident. To your brain, it is pain. Let's start with what happens when you burn your hand. A signal races up your arm, and deep inside your brain, two regions light up. One measures the raw sensation, where it is, how sharp. The other decides how much it bothers you. That second one is the suffering itself, the part that makes pain unbearable rather than merely detected. Now researchers ran a simple, almost cruel experiment. They put people in a brain scanner and had them play a small online ball-tossing game with two other players. After a while, the other two simply stopped throwing the ball to them. That's it. No insults, no threats, just quietly excluded from a meaningless game. And the scans lit up in the same region that carries the suffering of physical pain. Being left out registered on the same channel as being hurt. Not a metaphor. The same circuitry, doing the same job. And if that's really true, then something very strange should be possible. You should be able to treat social pain with a painkiller. So they tested it. Volunteers took a common, over-the-counter painkiller every day for 3 weeks, while others took a placebo. Nobody knew which. Every evening they reported how much social pain they felt: rejection, exclusion, hurt feelings. The group on the painkiller reported significantly less social pain. And in follow-up scanning, their brains showed weaker responses in those same pain regions during exclusion. Let that land. A pill designed for headaches measurably dulled the ache of being left out. Now, I am not telling you to take medication for loneliness. That is not the point, and it is not a solution. The point is the proof. For your brain, social pain and physical pain are not two different things wearing similar words. They run on shared hardware. Which raises the obvious question, why would evolution build something so cruel? Why should being alone hurt at all? Because for a human being, alone was never safe. Think about what one person can actually do against a cold night, a hungry animal, an illness, a broken leg. Almost nothing. Now think what 20 people can do. Everything. For our species, connection was not a luxury or a mood, it was infrastructure. Being cut off from the group was, in practical terms, a slow death sentence, and any brain that treated that lightly did not last long. So the same alarm that screams when your body is damaged was wired to scream when your bonds are damaged. Hunger tells you the body needs food. Thirst tells you it needs water. Loneliness tells you it needs people. It is a signal, not a flaw. An unpleasant, insistent, impossible to ignore signal, exactly like every other signal your body uses to keep you alive. But that raises a puzzle, because plenty of people are alone and perfectly fine, and that's the distinction almost everyone gets wrong. Being alone is a fact. Loneliness is a feeling. They are not the same, and they often don't even travel together. You can sit by yourself in a park with a book on a bright afternoon and feel completely at peace. Solitude, chosen and comfortable. And you can stand pressed shoulder to shoulder in a packed train, surrounded by 50 people, and feel more alone than you have felt all week. Researchers define loneliness as the gap between the connection you have and the connection you want. It's a mismatch, and it can appear in an empty room or in the middle of a crowd. That's why moving to a bigger city doesn't fix it, why a full calendar doesn't fix it, why having people around you all day doesn't fix it. Your brain isn't counting people, it's checking whether anyone truly knows you. And when that check fails for long enough, the effect stops being emotional, it becomes physical. Long-term loneliness keeps your stress system switched on. The body behaves as if it is under quiet, continuous threat, because in the ancient logic of the brain, it is. Blood pressure runs higher, sleep gets lighter and more broken, inflammation creeps up. The immune system shifts into a defensive posture it was never meant to hold for years. And the numbers researchers found are genuinely startling. When scientists pooled decades of studies covering hundreds of thousands of people, they found that weak social connection raises the risk of early death by a margin comparable to some of the most famous health risks we all worry about. Read that again. Not makes you sad, shortens lives. Which is why doctors now treat loneliness as a health issue, not a mood. The ache in your chest was never just in your head. But the cruelest part of loneliness isn't what it does to your body, it's what it does to your behavior. Here's the trap. You would expect a lonely person to reach out. The signal says, go find people. So surely they do. But loneliness does the opposite. It makes you withdraw. The reason is that same ancient alarm. A brain that feels socially unsafe becomes hypervigilant. It starts scanning for rejection everywhere, and it finds it. In a short reply, in an unanswered message, in a face that seemed distracted. Neutral things start reading as evidence that people don't want you. So you protect yourself, you cancel, you don't call back, you leave the invitation unopened. And every time you withdraw, the disconnection deepens, the alarm gets louder, and the withdrawal makes more sense. The pain designed to push you toward people ends up pushing you away from them. That's why just go out more is useless advice. The problem was never the number of people in the room. So what actually works? Researchers have an answer, and it is smaller than you think. It is not more people. It's one honest exchange. What breaks the loop is being genuinely known for a few minutes. One conversation where you are not performing. One person who asks something real and waits for the answer. Depth beats quantity every single time. And there is a second finding that surprises everyone. The fastest way out of your own loneliness is often to help someone else with theirs. Giving support reduces the ache more reliably than receiving it, because it puts you back where the brain wants you. Inside the group, being useful, mattering to someone. So start absurdly small. Call the relative you keep meaning to call. Ask the neighbor how they actually are. Sit with someone who eats alone. Send the message you have been drafting in your head for a week. You are not being needy. You are answering a signal as old as our species. The ache exists because connection kept us alive. It still does. So, who will you reach out to today? Tell me in the comments. Stay curious. See you in the next one.